Hi everyone, my name is Alice Sisson and I'm an occupational therapy assistant student at Eastern Virginia Career College and part of cohort 8. I am so excited to share with you my final graduation project. I have been working on this for over a month to basically provide some resources for you to reference the changes that have been made to the new OTPF version 4 that just came out. So this first thing that I've made is a Word document that you all can use to reference, and it goes section by section, highlighting all the major changes. It tells you what page you can find it on in the 3rd edition and then the 4th edition. Some things haven't changed, and a lot of things have been added. So as you kind of scroll through the document, you can see the comparison between the two. Like right here, there's a new diagram to simplify the domain and process, and it is quite long. It's about 14 pages, but what I've done is went ahead and created a PowerPoint presentation to highlight to you the 12 major changes. Now, these are all listed in the new OTPF 4th edition. You can find them on page 3. And I'm just going to go through each one and kind of just highlight a little bit more about each of them. So this edition that I was studying was currently called the pre-publication draft. So that was scheduled and came out in August of 2020. You can find it on the AOTA website. If you have a membership, you can download it there. I'm not sure when the actual finalized version is going to be coming out, but this one, they say there will be very minimal changes to it, just maybe some formatting and whatnot to make it a little bit easier to read. So documents relating to OT did begin in 1979 and then were published again in 89 and 94, but the first OTPF was started in 1998 and finished in 2002, and they review this every 5 years. So in 2018, the process began again, and the changes that they've made are reflected in this edition, the 4th edition. So what has changed? So there are 12 major changes, like I said, all listed on page 3. They are basically outlined there for you. And the first thing you'll notice right off the bat when you start reading through this document is that it doesn't refer to itself as the framework anymore. It's referred to as the OTPF or the OTPF-4 for the 4th version. There are still 2 main sections, the domain and process, and the main idea is still the same, which is achieving health, well-being, and participation in life through engagement in occupation is the overarching statement that describes the domain and process of occupational therapy in its fullest sense. So change number 1, the focus is increased on group and population clients, and examples are provided for both. In table 1 on page 43, you can see that they go through a few different occupations and give examples of them as they would be done by a person, group, or population. Table 3 on page 48 is another table showing examples of occupations for persons, groups, and populations. So the second change is that the cornerstones of OT practice are identified and described as foundational to the success of OT practitioners. And on page 6, they describe cornerstone as something of great importance on which everything else depends. So these 4 cornerstones are listed as 1, the core values and beliefs rooted in occupation, 2, knowledge and expertise in the therapeutic use of occupation, 3, professional behaviors and dispositions, and 4, therapeutic use of self. On page 6, they go on to describe that there are many contributors that influence each cornerstone, and these are listed here. The third change is that occupational science is more explicitly described and defined. You can find that on page 4. They say it provides a way of thinking that enables an understanding of occupation, the occupational nature of humans, the relationship between occupation, health and well-being, and the influences that shape occupation. So its concepts are emphasized throughout the OTPF-4, including occupational justice and injustice, identity, time use, satisfaction, engagement, and performance. The fourth change, the terms occupation and activity are more clearly defined on page 7 and 8. In the OTPF-4, the term occupation denotes personalized and meaningful engagement in daily life events by a specific client. And conversely, the term activity denotes a form of action that is objective and not related to a specific client's engagement or context, and therefore can be selected and designed to enhance occupational engagement by supporting development of performance skills and performance patterns. Both occupation and activities are used as interventions by practitioners, but participation in occupations is still considered both the means and the end in the occupational therapy process. For the fifth change, under occupations, the definition of sexual activity as an ADL is revised and defined as engaging in the broad possibilities of sexual expressions and experiences with self and others. A new category is added under health management. So this is defined as activities related to developing, managing, and maintaining health and wellness routines, including self-management with the goal of improving or maintaining health to support participation in occupations. And under this general occupation category, there are subcategories including social and emotional health promotion and maintenance, symptom and condition management, communication with the healthcare system, medication management, physical activity, and nutrition management. The term intimate partner is added under the social participation category, and this is engaging in activities to initiate and maintain a close relationship, including giving and receiving affection and interacting in desired roles. Intimate partners may or may not engage in sexual activity. The sixth change, the context and environments aspect of the OT domain is changed to just context. And this is on the basis of the World Health Organization taxonomy from the ICF in an effort to adopt standard, well-accepted definitions. So context is also divided into two categories, environmental and personal. Environmental is the aspects of the physical, social, and attitudinal surroundings in which people live and conduct their lives, and personal is the particular background of a person's life and living and consists of the unique features of the person that are not part of a health condition or state. So for the client factors, you'll find in Table 9, the category of body functions, gender identity is included under the experience of self and time. The definition of psychosocial is expanded to match the ICF description, and interoception is added under sensory functions, which is the internal detection of changes in one's internal organs through specific sensory receptors such as hunger, thirst, digestion, and state of alertness. For the eighth change, under types of interventions, the term preparatory methods and tasks has been changed to interventions to support occupations. Now, the definition is still the same, but the term used to reference them has changed. So if you're going to use PAMS on a client, it's still fine to use them. It's just considered to be an intervention to support occupations, not a preparatory method. So under the ninth change for outcomes, they address transitions and discontinuation as reasons to conclude occupational therapy services. And they also address patient-reported outcomes, PROs, which are any report of the status of a patient's health condition that comes directly from the patient, without interpretation of the patient's response by a clinician or anyone else. It can be used as a subjective measure of improved outlook, confidence, hope, playfulness, self-efficacy, sustainability of valued occupations, pain reduction, resilience, and perceived well-being. The 10th change, there are 5 new tables added to expand on and clarify concepts. I went over table 1 and 3 with examples of persons, groups, and populations. Then table 7 is showing performance skills for persons, and that includes both effective and ineffective performance skills. And then table 8 is performance skills for groups, and specifically shows how the impact of ineffective individual performance can affect the collective outcome of the group. Table 11 is another table about groups, persons, and populations, and how the occupational therapy process works through those different groups. The 11th change, I mentioned before that the document is referred to as the OTPF rather than framework, and the reason for this is that the current requirements for a unique identifier to maximize digital discoverability, especially in social media communications, as well as the long-term use of the acronym in academic teaching and clinical practice. So basically, the term framework was a little bit too generalized and used also by other professions, and they needed to have a unique identifier specifically for occupational therapy, referring to this document. The 12th change is that Figure 1 has been revised to provide a simplified visual depiction of the domain and process of occupational therapy. And this is the new figure that they've added. So what do you think of the changes? I've spent a lot of time looking over this document, and I'm not one to like change, but you have to stay current with the times, and I think that they have made a good effort in doing that with the changes they've made in this document. And I find like it's pretty easy to use, and once I think everyone has it in their hands and really starts to dive into it, you'll find that the changes are beneficial, and it's a very good resource to use in practice. So thank you all. I wish you all the best, and I will see you soon.